Boy, hope can be a mean thing, can't it? Welcome to Game Over, as the Edmonton Oilers are now in a 3-0 hole against the Florida Panthers. We will get to all of that breakdown coming up here in just a matter of moments, breakdown being the key word tonight. But first, a word on how you can find these streams next season.
Game Over Edmonton is broadcasting from the Game Over Network channel for the playoffs, but come 2024 in October, we're relaunching with our own channel. So for all of your Edmonton Oilers news, analysis, and fun, make sure you open the Game Over Network channel from this video, scroll past my ugly mug, and head on down to the Game Over Edmonton channel from our featured channels area. Click subscribe, and make sure you ring that reminder bell to make sure that you get notified whenever we post something or go live. Tell all your Oilers fan friends and family to come join our amazing community. You won't regret it. And on this video, smash that like button right into oblivion.
So, a very disappointing loss for the Edmonton Oilers. Sorry, we are frozen on one of the things. Let me see if I can get this fixed. I don't know why that is freezing on us. So some wonderful technical difficulties to start after, I guess, after a tough start for the Edmonton Oilers. Finished strong, but I guess it was more the middle than the start. Matt, you can hear me, correct?
I can hear you just fine. I can see you. We're looking good.
Okay. The audio is showing up fine. It's just you're frozen right now. Now, you are frozen in I can see you on the Zoom fine. It's on the OBS that it is stuck. But it is frozen in a very disappointed looking face, which I think does sum up how the evening is going. But I guess, first of all, and I mean this genuinely, how are you?
Oh, I think I'm genuinely crushed right now. I'm fighting it a little bit. That is not ideal. I mean, I don't pretend to be unbiased at all, right? Like, I am a fan of the Edmonton Oilers. Being down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals is super disappointing.
And especially, I feel like this game toyed with you in a number of different ways, right? Like, they got off to a hell of a start. Like, I made the joke about the start, but the start actually was fine for the Oilers. Like, they came out, they were firing, they had jump, they had all the things you wanted to see. Players were getting involved, there were shots, it was a glorious thing. And then they scored a goal, and it feels like everything's going your way. And then 6 minutes and 20...
A goal from the bottom of 6 on
right?
top of it.
Yeah, a goal from not McDavid. Like, how? And then 6 minutes and 20 seconds later, and all of a sudden, all hell had broken loose. And then when it's 4-1, I stopped taking notes. I'm getting things ready. Not well enough, obviously, but I'm getting things ready. And then it's 4-2. It's like, okay, well, that's cute, but okay. And then it's 4-3. It's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And it was almost at that point where I was like, oh, well, they're definitely not going to win now. Because you knew, like, they're going to get close enough to tantalize you and then just take it all away. So just the stages of hope that they gave you was infuriating, I felt like.
No, it was a real roller coaster of emotions there for a good while. And I think you're right to point out, and we should point out, that the Oilers did play very well for good stretches of that game, right? I mean, the final shots were 35 to low 20s, something like that. And a lot of that is score effects also but nonetheless, you put up 35 shots against the Panthers, and you score more than one goal in a game. Finally, things are objectively better than they had been, and yet not good enough, because right there in the middle, it's complete collapse, and it's from, unfortunately, the likely culprits are the ones that are responsible for the collapse.
Yeah, and we will get into that. First of all, welcome, Matt, to the moving picture portion of things.
Hey, I'm back!
Yes, as the tried and true, try to turn it off and turn it back on worked. We caught all of that. I just switched some things around. But, so, welcome, you're moving and all of that. Secondly, I guess, when we're, classic sports radio segment here, when we're handing out the blame pie, who is getting the biggest pieces of the blame pie for specifically Game 3? I'm sure there's a bigger,
Oh yeah,
broader conversation
an
that
overall thing.
is sneaking up on us real quick. But for Game 3 specifically, who is at fault here?
For me, I'm looking at Stuart Skinner's gaff playing the puck, and I'm looking at Darnell Nurse, and I'm not even sure that Nurse should have even been playing in this game. But the goal where Nurse was stripped by Bennett, I mean it's unforgivable kind of territory, to be so careless with the puck right in front of your net like that. Like that's unreal. And that for a guy who's making as much money as he makes, which matters in a salary cap world.
Yeah.
That's the kind of play that can't be happening in a Stanley Cup final.
No, and first of all, you talk about the salary cap thing. If he is probably like an angel investor giving the money to Washington, like, hey, get any evidence of my contract off of the internet as quickly as you can.
No, for real.
But like the only excuse is he is hurt. But if he is hurt enough that's happening, then take him off the ice. That has always been my thing.
That's on Knobloch. And I mean, maybe we'll find out when everything is all done. We'll find out that Darnay is actually really, really hurt, and they didn't have any good choices. Maybe we'll find that out. But as of today, we don't have that information, and all we can go on is we've got a Darnell Nurse who's not playing well enough to justify the minutes that he's getting.
Yeah. No, and it has always been my thing with this time of year where, oh, look at this guy. He's out there with a broken leg and can barely keep it together. And sure, he gave up a power play goal, but look at the heart he's showing. So, at some point, this is stupid. And you need to just come off of the ice because you are actively hurting this team.
And when you take a look at guys, you take a look at who was probably the best player in this game today, you can make a pretty good argument that it was Broberg, a guy who wasn't playing almost the entire playoffs, had been buried onto the AHL team. I mean, he only gets on because there are injuries and players are playing terribly in front of him, and so they throw him onto the ice, and suddenly he's amazing out there. He's flying and making great decisions with the puck. Well, maybe if Darnell Nurse is that hurt, then we have to put on someone who's really should probably be in the AHL, but could be potentially having the time of the moments of their career now instead of a hobbled defender making terrible choices.
Hey, at this point, man, play good for one game. Like that's where the season's at, right?
I need 20 good minutes. That's it.
Yeah. No, I watched a movie called that one time, but I think different. There's a lot going on, and Connor in the chat, not that one or the other one, but Connor Cahill adding in the chat here. First of all, blame Skinner 100%. I didn't get to that portion, but focus on the Nurse part. I feel like protective is the wrong word, but I have been trying to not give Skinner the blame for some of these things, and I don't think he deserves any of it for the first couple of games. But that was a just amazing tribute to Mike Smith that he did in the second period behind the net. And then the fact that Sportsnet showed the video of Smitty there immediately after. It's like, boy, irony is just beating you over the head
today. Smitty in the building, and I'm like, oh, why? Look, of course this is what happened with Smitty in the building. And I'm not going to blame Skinner for the first goal either. There's no chance on that. I mean, that's a deflection from a place where he for sure didn't think anything was possible. It was just a great play. But after that, he needs to shut it down, and he's not making the saves. And when you compare him, and maybe it's unfair. Maybe he's all right. But we're comparing him to Bobrovsky on the other side of the ice, who is having a Conn Smythe-worthy performance. And if he's the second best goalie in this series, that's not good enough.
No, not for how this series has gone down. And you talk about Bobrovsky, that save he made on McLeod right after the goal. If they hold on to win this, and math suggests that that's likely,
Yeah.
that's going to be a statue outside of the Florida
Yeah.
arena, and dozens of people will go appreciate it. Like
I think
that was incredible.
I think Bobrovsky has to be in the heads of the Oilers right now. I've never seen them struggle to score like they're struggling to score against him. And then every shot that they're taking, it feels like it's going right into his pads. Like they're all hitting the lower third of the net. And this is an Oiler team that knows how to score. This is an Oiler team that knows how to raise the puck. And yet somehow all they can see on the ice are his pads, and that's where the puck is going. So I think Bobrovsky has entered their minds, and just they're ruined right now.
Yeah. And I thought where it was noticeable was on the power plays, especially early in the game, where, like, obviously pucks on net is the key strategy for every power play ever, but there has to be some setup to it, and it seemed like the entire strategy around it was fuck it, and just try to get it onto the net.
Yeah, absolutely. I not that there was anything wrong with that, really. I mean, ultimately, they had to do something, and I think that their power play needed to feel like it had to do a hard reset, and that's one way to go about it. But man, the way that Bobrovsky is playing, I mean, I just cannot. And I hate praising the other team, but I cannot deny that Bobrovsky is playing maybe the best hockey of his career right this second.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and like obviously, like banners fly forever, and the contract is justified for 1,000 years now, based off of that. But I remember at the time that they signed him to that contract, they draft Spencer Knight, and it's like, what are these guys doing? This is the worst run organization. And what's that? Two cup finals back to back, and he's probably gonna win one, and a Conn Smythe, I would guess.
And he went through some real tough times for a bit there too. Like it's not like he was pretty good the whole time. Like no, there were a few years where that contract was awful.
Yeah, no, he's been riding that lightning bolt for a while now. Last one here while we're handing out blame, and I want to get to a lot of different things in this game. But Connor in the chat also mentioned Bouchard, and like he was, I thought he was like dynamite against Vancouver, like all throughout the playoffs, right? Like he outplayed Hughes, he outplayed Heiskanen to get here, but he got the brutal turnover in game 2 leads to the Rodriguez goal. He gets worked along the wall that leads to the other Rodriguez goal, which, by the way, the only 2-goal scorer in Cup Final history was a mind-boggling stat to me, but it makes sense. And then tonight, he gets, like, Barkov steals his lunch money and then holds him off, setting up that goal. It was just like, it keeps building. And and then also, while I'm just thinking of things, like I, again, have never been an NHL defenseman, and at 33, that's probably not going to happen now. But if I were given the choice between focusing my defensive efforts on Rodriguez or Barkov versus nobody, I personally would want to be watching Barkov on that, and to overcommit on the puck carrier, leaving Barkov wide open, and that was just all she wrote at that point. So it feels like all these decisions are kind of compiling on him a little bit. I don't put him in the same category as Nurse or Skinner in terms of who to blame, but he is not blameless in this whole thing either, I don't think.
No, he's not blameless in this whole thing. Although, I mean, I'm a Bouchard fanboy. I mean, I love what he brings, and I generally think that typically speaking, he brings a lot more positive than negative. But right now they're at Cup Finals, and every mistake is going behind the goalie. So these things are going to pile up, and it's not great. Although long term for Oilers fans, hey, maybe that knocks $1 million off of his off his next contract, AAV.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed that's what comes out of it, because he is a star, right? He is a star in this league. But yeah, you make some mistakes, and just like for Nurse, you're making mistakes at the worst time of the year to be making these mistakes.
Yeah, against the worst guy too. Like just Barkov, it's just like, come on.
Like if there's one player on the Panthers that you need to be aware of all the time, it's Barkov.
Yeah. We will get more into this game here in a matter of moments. If you're watching this video, first of all, thank you. Secondly, make sure you like this, make sure you subscribe, and also, if you want to catch all the local flair we have coming up next year, Andrew's here to let you know how to do that for Game Over Winnipeg.
Game Over Winnipeg is broadcasting from the Game Over Network channel for right now during the playoffs. However, in October, the network relaunches for real, and Game Over Winnipeg gets its own channel. So for all of your Winnipeg Jets content, fun, news, and analysis, head on over to the Game Over Winnipeg channel from the Game Over Network channel. Open it in a new tab right now, scroll past my ugly mug, all the way down, and click on the Winnipeg channel from our featured channel section. Click subscribe, and make sure you hit that reminder bell so that you get notified whenever we post a video or go live. Tell all your Jets fan friends and family to come check out our awesome community. We promise they won't regret it. And make sure on this video you smash that like button right into oblivion.
We continue on Game Over following a disappointing 4-3 loss for the Edmonton Oilers. They now trail this series 3-0. I guess, as I see you shake your head, any reason for optimism? I get 3-0 down, and having to make a historic comeback seems daunting. But hey, can we get some kind of silver lining to any of this?
Sure, why not? Why don't we take a look at the positives? The Oilers scored 3 goals on Bobrovsky. That is some glimmer of hope. They did have really solid play from some of their players. You've got Philip Broberg. I thought the McDavid line was doing really well for most of the night, generally speaking, creating chances. The power play, although not scoring, I thought was generating chances as well. So there's positives. And if you're an Oilers fan, you'll remember this team was left for dead and eventually ended up on a streak that won 16 in a row. All we need now is 4. That's it.
It's a quarter of it.
That's it. It's 1/4 of what we've already done.
Yeah.
So are the Oilers capable of winning 4 in a row? Yes, they are. But they're also going to need Skinner to be a lot better than he has been. They're going to need Nurse and Ceci to be better than they have been. That's a tall order to ask. But are there positives? Yeah, there's positives.
Yeah. They're going to need one of Nurse or Ceci to not play.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, a different story for a different time here.
If you're an Oilers fan, I think you can also be really proud of the way that the fans showed up in that game. I mean, they're topping 110 decibels in that building. Like, it's loud. The fans are there. They're supporting the team. They're really behind everyone. I mean, what more can you ask for from the fans?
Oh, no, and they were looking for any, like, down 4-1, a goal scored, make it 4-2. All right, guess we're screaming for the whole third period then.
Exactly.
Like, they showed up. And yeah, if you were at the game, whether you're watching it live now or checking us out on the replay after, bravo, because that sounded like the coolest place in North America to be here on a Thursday night, just not rewarded in the way that you would have wanted. McDavid isn't showing up in the goal column, and I know I'm not, like, breaking any news, like, oh, wow, they've completely changed the genre of sports talk. They're talking about how good Connor McDavid is, but he was, like, on those last 2 goals, if you just watch him, it is a masterclass on everything you are supposed to do. Like, neither of those goals happen if he is anyone else in the world, but the speed that he is able to get to the loose pucks, his whatever cyborg thing he has that lets him see the ice in the way that he does, and then the perfect passes to go along with it. Like, this is another level for him to me, and that's crazy because he's already insane. But to do
he's a freak of nature.
Yeah, it's incredible what he's doing. He's
a freak of nature, and I have every reason to believe that he's playing injured right now. Right, like
right.
There have been so many rumors about McDavid playing with abdominal injuries or all kinds of different things going on with him. Nothing's ever confirmed. But I would be shocked if when this series is done, that we don't find out that he's on top of all of this, also quite injured.
Yeah.
So he's a freak. He's a freak of nature. And I love that so many people get to watch him on a nightly basis because, when you get to see him once or twice in a year, I mean, that's that, or maybe more if you're in the Western Conference. But if you're from the East and you're watching once or twice a year, I mean, you're usually seeing something pretty great. But when you get to see it consistently, game in and game out, I mean, it really starts to blow your mind. Like he is just that much better than everyone all the time,
Mhm.
all the time.
Yeah. And the thing that gets me is you are doing this now where Florida has nothing to do but focus on you, right? Like
Yeah.
it is the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's the Stanley Cup Final. So they're
Yeah.
like pre-scout, whatever. Fuck it, man. They don't care that they have
Yeah.
100%, and no one on the Oilers is doing anything to draw that attention away. So 100% of their brain power is on how do we stop that guy. And while I get like literally he hasn't scored yet, but that's not because he is playing poorly or of some wizard defensive system they have. It's just that the puck hasn't gone from his stick into the net yet. But otherwise, he's been
the reason
excellent.
he hasn't scored is because Bobrovsky's incredible,
Right.
not because the skaters in front of Bobrovsky have shut down McDavid. Right, that's the difference. And if we only take a look at outcomes, then everyone can say, well, they shut down McDavid's scoring or goal scoring. And you go, yeah, okay, he didn't score goals, but look at the chances he's creating. Look at everything he's doing on the ice. And it's not like Florida has a bunch of bums out there defensively. No, they have the best defensive forward in the NHL in Barkov, who we've been talking about, is also playing lights out. And still, McDavid's getting his chances. He's not bearing them because Bobrovsky's amazing, but he's getting them.
Yeah. No, it is mind-boggling. Yeah, if you were only playing the results, like, you know what, man, Fogle and McLeod need some help out there. But we
That's right.
It is wild.
They can't. McLovin can't do it all himself.
Right. Yeah, like, look, the 4 goal scorers this series are, I guess 5. No, it's 4. Ekholm, Broberg, McLeod, and Fogle. Like, come on.
Just like we all drew it up.
Yeah, can we get someone to step up here, please? Come on. I guess, not to derail the optimism train that we are on right now, the thing that I think greatly concerns me from an Edmonton standpoint, among a slew of other things, being down 3-0 is definitely high up there. But
yeah,
the Panthers have done all of this, and aside from like a good forecheck and a steal, it's pretty quiet for Matthew Tkachuk. Aside from like being literally not a quiet human being, I thought he was buzzing tonight and creating opportunities, but we haven't had Matthew Tkachuk has taken this game over yet, and he is very capable of that, and that concerns me greatly for the Oilers' chances in Game 4 and beyond.
No, I'd say if you're going to say offensively, Barkov tonight for that team. Other than that, there hasn't been a game where I thought, wow, there's a player on that, there's a skater on that team that has really taken things over. It's been either pretty even or the Oilers have been taking it to the Panthers, and they just can't get the job done. And the Panthers are. Everyone says that they're doing it by committee. They were going to do it by committee, and that's exactly what they've been doing.
Yep. And I think you look at it from an Oilers standpoint, like you said, like it Barkov, Rodriguez had a flourish there at one point, but aside from that, I think you can make a very compelling case that Edmonton has outplayed Florida in 2 of these 3 games. And I'm not saying Edmonton should be ahead in this series. I don't think 3-0 is indicative of necessarily how this has gone, aside from that goalie over there. I think this feels like a 2-1 Florida series lead that just so happens now that Edmonton is on the brink of elimination.
That's right. I think you're bang on there. That's how I would see it too. And yet at the same time, until tonight, they couldn't figure out Bobrovsky, and you're not going to win with 1 goal a night. And it turns out, if you've got a goalie who's making a bunch of mistakes and some defensemen who are getting the yips out there, you're not going to win when you score 3 either.
Yeah, they found the way to beat Bobrovsky. It's just angle a shot in off his defender's elbow and bank it in.
That's right. That's right. That's how we do it.
Yeah. More to come. We'll talk about what changes need to be made going into Game 3 here in just a matter of moments. Aside from score more and allow less, we'll get into a bit more specific beyond that. Also, get your thoughts in for the presser. I see the chat has been bumping tonight. We will get to some of your thoughts in the presser coming up. But first, a word from me on how to check out your provincial rivals coming up next season. Game Over Calgary is relaunching in October. For all your Game Over Calgary content, make sure you subscribe subscribe to our Calgary-specific YouTube channel. Open the Game Over Network YouTube page in a new tab from this video, scroll past Andrew talking, and click on the Game Over Calgary channel in our featured channel section. Click subscribe and make sure you hit the drop-down menu to get notified when we post videos or go live. Tell all your Flames fan friends and family to check it out and join our awesome community. And make sure you smash the like button on this video right into oblivion. My favorite part of that always with a guest is that you can't see that, so we're just sitting here awkwardly in silence. And also, the way this is set up, I can't hear you when that's playing either. So, we have to sit here just quietly and very awkwardly for 30 to 45 seconds while I tell people about the Calgary Flames streams for next season, which everyone here wants to hear about right now.
That's right. Yes. Everyone who's watching this stream right now definitely cares about that.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, I'm fantastic. So subscribe for me for next season. Going into Game 4, we've said before that some kind of change on the blue line, if at all possible, needs to be made. Is there anything up front? Avery brought up Sam Gagner in the last stream, and that was a name that came up again tonight. What would you look at that? What would you put Draisaitl with McDavid or what?
Let's start there. Okay, Sam Gagner is the heart of the Edmonton Oilers as far as many fans are concerned, and he even still has a spot in the dressing room, like a full spot in the dressing room, despite the fact that he hasn't played a single game in these playoffs. And if you're gonna go out on your shield, you might as well put Sam Gagner there. And you're looking for offense from unlikely places. When he was playing for the Oilers, he was providing more offense on the bottom six than most of our other players were at the time. He is a legitimate option to add unlikely offense on a team that needs to find it. So would I go there? Yeah, I would absolutely go there. Of course, the Oilers also have a bunch of really good players, like Sam Carrick and Evander Kane. Like they were out, and there's injuries at play, and you can make cases that both of them should be in ahead of Gagner for all kinds of reasons. And yet, here we are, 3-0, and I wouldn't even hesitate. I would already have him penciled into the fourth line. But I also love Sam Gagner. Sam Gagner loves this city. He loves the Oilers. I want to see it happen.
Yeah,
I would be thrilled to see that happen.
I know with your season on the line isn't the time to be handing out Lifetime Achievement Awards, but that's a dude that just kind of deserves to play in a Cup Final game for Edmonton.
I think so.
As we've talked about, it's not like there's 12 forwards who you're saying, oh, you couldn't possibly fit him in here with the way things have been going.
There's a spot on the fourth line for someone like him. I'm not saying, okay, we need to take Hyman out and we need to put Sam Gagner in Hyman's spot. I'm not a crazy person, but can he play 8 minutes in a Stanley Cup Final game? Yeah, I think he can play 8 minutes in a Stanley Cup Final game. And I think while he's out there, the home team and the home crowd will lose their minds and lift everyone up on top of it. And I also think he still has offensive juice to provide. So for me, it's not a downside. And it's not like, we're putting out the guy who can't really play anymore. No, I think he can do this. I think he can play 8 minutes. That's not a problem.
If you're playing him, you're starting him, right? Like, get the name announced, opening face-off, the play. Yeah, the building will shake apart. Yeah.
It was if you thought it was loud tonight, when they're announcing Sam Gagner in Game 4 in the opening lineup, the place will fall apart.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Make sure you guys are liking this video. Make sure you're subscribing to all the Game Over channels. We are getting up against it time-wise, so we're just going to skip right ahead now to the presser. Get your thoughts in on the chat. I know you guys have a lot of them, but yeah, let us know what you guys are thinking. The first chat of the night was Andrew Beauchesne saying embarrassing loss. I don't know if that was embarrassing so much as it was heartbreaking and incredibly deflating.
There was a solid 10 minutes in the second period that was embarrassing for me, like watching that and just extremely deflating, and just watching them make really, really terrible decisions And then after that, they didn't recover until the third period. So there was a good stretch where they were playing some really lifeless hockey.
Yeah.
And that was embarrassing in a Stanley Cup final game. Was the entire performance embarrassing? I don't think so.
Connor, who was talking about the blame pie earlier, Skinner is a one-trick pony. His performance in the Dallas series was a one-off occasion that only delayed the inevitable of the exposure of his inability to tend the goal. So a little on the fence there. I'm not sure what side he comes down on the Skinner debate. It's tough. I do think that he is a fine goalie. I think he is being wildly outclassed in this series.
Yeah.
But
He's a fine
overall,
goalie.
yeah, overall, I don't think he's the reason you're losing. It's just this game, maybe.
He's a fine goalie. He's not a great goalie, and they're playing a great goalie.
Yeah,
That's the problem. They're playing a great goalie, and we only have a pretty good goalie when he's at his best.
yeah. This one coming from north of 48. That's the name. I'm not assuming geography. Oilers defense was soft on the puck in their own end, scared of getting hit, question mark. I don't know about scared, but not getting hit. And I would imagine that forecheck of Florida is kind of punishing. And I'm not saying, again, that they are easing off or anything like that. I just think the forecheck is working more than anything.
There are some players who consistently, when they are forced to make a play with the puck, just wilt under pressure. And I'm talking to you, Cody Ceci. And as awesome as a teammate he is purported to be, when the puck is on his stick in his own zone, I have no idea to which player it's going to go next. And I don't know if he does either.
Yeah, it is almost a guarantee it's going to be to the wrong one, though. Like, it's
right.
got to that point. And that has to be in his head.
Complete roll of the dice.
Yeah, it has to be in his head, right? Like, I can't imagine, for the irrational confidence that athletes have, I can't imagine he is going home at night looking in the mirror and being like, nailed it. You know, like, he has to know it's not going well.
No, it does have to be mental. And kind of like, I mean, there are always some, like, mitigating factors. Like in game 2, Bouchard was making really strange decisions, but he also ended up playing like 30 minutes that night, something that he doesn't really do very often. And you just think, okay, he was exhausted and he was not used to that. But Cody Ceci isn't under that kind of pressure. And usually he just has to make one 5-foot pass, and it's not going where it's supposed to go.
Right. It's only going 3 feet to Sam Bennett, who's then scoring.
And back to that point, I don't think it's because he's afraid of being hit. He's a pretty big boy. He can take a bruising. I've seen him make big hits. That's not the issue. I just think he's in his own head.
Matt, this was a blast, man. Obviously, circumstances not fantastic, but had a lot of fun chatting with you tonight. Where can people find you?
You're going to find me on Twitter. It's at Archaeologuy. Good luck spelling it. You'll have lots of fun. You'll find me. I'm all around there. That's usually where you're going to find me. Otherwise, I'm a semi-retired blogger these days. So,
fair enough. Prediction for Game 4. Do we have a Game 5?
Yes, I think we're going to have a Game 5. I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to win in Game 4.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, I thought they've outplayed Florida in 2 of the 3 games so far. Yeah. But it's just Sergei Bobrovsky is getting his JS Shiger on in just some wild ways. Thank you to all of you who have tuned in. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Regardless, we'll be back here for Game 4. It'll be Andrew Berkshire and Graham Mosman joining you all for Game 4. So hopefully they have a more fun game to talk about than we did, and we'll catch all of you next time. Have a great evening, everybody.
Go on.